Do you ever feel out of sync with the speed at which the world spins? I do. A lot. Linear time is not the ideal medium to put this out in, but try as I might to find an alternative, there's no other form of time available to me for encoding. Maybe one day we'll figure out something else that makes sense in electronic data to properly echo the stutter of picking out connections one by one, or existing as a rushing instinct-driven torrent of words, sliding between one extreme and the other. I find myself giving up on having certain conversations because I can't dedicate the time necessary to decompile all the information needed, and because I can't operate under a lower information ceiling most of the time. It's far easier to drift along the edges and only anchor in when there's enough time and space for it. Or, write it up and ship it out non-directionally. That's why this has ended up as a video. If it goes well, I might try and make other ones in other ways, but who knows? While it's impossible to separate my experience with parallax from everything else going on, I have done my best to keep all the details for that for another time. Maybe experiencing multiple mental threads is a part of this, maybe a part of that. Who really knows? Everything bleeds into everything. What's a starting point? We're halfway through and just getting started. Hope it helps. Or, find it interesting. I don't know. I'm not your mom. Where was I? Right.
Parallel universes.
I consider myself a wordsmith because of one particular factor, that being the necessity to manually translate thought from mind to spoken or written word. It does not come naturally to me and never will. It is a very deliberate process, and that process takes a lot of time. I have typed over 6,000 words drafting and redrafting this script, particularly in this very section, and I will have spoken many times more than that by the time this sees anyone else's eyes. After all, when something only truly seems to make sense on full display, how are you meant to give up on the dream of delivering that full display? And yet I have to, because it's only glimpses that can break through, so we have to condense down the information into something that can possibly make sense, especially quickly. And since that often takes so much work, even to get a rough draft, it is very easy to withdraw from conversations, from social spaces, from topics that are too complicated to cover at the moment. It's trouble enough to speak with someone who's operating on an entirely different wavelength than myself, and when I get talked past misread, glossed over, despite our best attempts, it does hurt. I learned not to try too hard, to redirect if I see signs early, to back out fast if I catch them later. The surface layer will always remain for most to interface with, but good luck delving deeper, catching the other orbits. I will remain confusing to most people.
It's quite comfortable at the eye of the storm, honestly. Though, of course, the storm being what it is, getting through that to anyone else can be a chore if they aren't used to the flow. Different thoughts ride at different layers and speeds, far disjointed connections tying it all together through the mental mesh, and holding a conversation deeper than surface level with someone at odds with my perception can often feel like clawing at the world to force things to align so parts can be pulled out in a coherent stack and make sense to others. Not a fun process, you know? That's why I tend to use references and quote so much. Mental shorthand makes for a much easier time talking. There's no need to reinvent that spoken wheel. I think the most noticeable area this comes up in is in spoken conversation, though anything in text I haven't already hashed out gets its fair share as well. To be asked a question with immense numbers of possible answers and the answer expected soon is an incredible burden. To tie myself to one conversation thread, to not jump ship into the chaos, is an incredibly thin line to walk. It's just very hard, very often, to prune the ever-growing branches a conversation could go, a thought could go, a video could go. Especially if time is limited or the topic is supposed to have a boundary. I am a neural network of ideological associations and backlinks. I am a living sigil, and we never defined any limits on that. I was not built to respond to Teams messages or as per my last emails. I was meant to diffuse myself like fungi and communicate in esoteric turns of phrase. I am a
an
mage,
architect,
not
an
customer
arbiter.
service. Time falls apart inside and out. The references won't be understood easily without the mental context for what prompted them. New branches often need to be qualified or pruned. Ideas coalesce in a crude form for me to polish down and extract to show off. And sometimes it all just breaks.
We might as well start off with the hardest concept to convey. Like being stuck in the between cuts in a video, lingering on entire dredges of just under the current of conscious thought, occasionally one flickering in the of a passage. It's not the absence of information, though. It's similar to going nonverbal. Or maybe it is going nonverbal for a moment, a critical mass of meaning that overloads my means to express it, crunching down into a singularity of compressed information. And sometimes I can unravel it in text if I have the time, but in speech, it's really a coin flip whether I can make use of it or if we have to move on. Emoji are a good solution for this, especially for emotions, which, go figure. Custom emotes all the more so. Where text and speech feel like trying to carefully drain a reservoir, always waiting for the dam to somehow burst to start repairs, a visual representative makes things so much easier. It's a real shame that I can't speak the visuals, and honestly, getting too used to them just digs myself deeper when I have to jump back out to have verbal conversations.
Intuition has been quite the task to try and unravel. It's strong enough to trust in most cases to the point that the definition doesn't quite fit. It's sort of compressed thoughts, it's sort of background radiation, it's sort of internal flags on the thought pipelines. Unraveling that into intuition itself, into a justification, is something that happens in that reverse way fairly often. In the moment, it feels a bit like making up the justification, but it's really just been rediscovering what the thought was based on in the first place. As an aside, can you believe they let me make decisions like this so often, off vibes? All the more surprising I get to be correct about things that way. Like, guys, what are we doing? I'm so close to turning this video into one audio track in each ear, like orbiting around, so it makes more sense in a way, or something even worse. So tempting. Maybe as a second option, maybe as the main one. You'll see which we decide on when this goes up, I suppose.
It's been very odd looking back to see just how fast communication has sped up over the course of just my own life. And to be honest, that's probably why I've only had to put this concept to words more recently. It is far easier to untangle a thought when you only need to reply to a letter that comes in every month or two, compared to today's torrent of emails, texts, direct messages. I can't hate the people I've met, nor can I hate the communities I've found, but that speed is not something I was made for. The world wants to move at that speed of instant messaging and the size of a text message. I am not about that, and it's become a permanent fight against the flow of artificial or natural progress there, against everything trying to squeeze me smaller and faster. I am not built for linear time, and linear time is not built for me. We have something of a tenuous truce going on, but it's anyone's guess how long that will last.